What's going on, you guys? Good morning. So Trump is going to be addressing the UN. I'm curious as to what he's going to say. So I wanted to go live and show you guys. Maybe we all watch it together. You know what I'm saying? If you could, please like it, share it, all of that. Comment. Tell me where you're from.
Watching from home. The fourth plenary meeting of the General Assembly is called to order. After our intense Monday, today starts the general debate of the 80th session. Before proceeding to the general debate, the Assembly will hear an introduction by Secretary General of his annual report on the work of the organization. Under Agenda Item 110, in accordance with Resolution 51/241 of 31st July 1997. Please take your seat. I now give the floor to the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Antonio Guterres.
This is the UN. So Trump's supposed to be speaking.
Please, could you take your seats?
Let me begin with two words we have not been able to say often enough in this hall. Madam President. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 8 years ago, in a world scorched by war, leaders made a choice: cooperation over chaos, law over lawlessness, peace over conflict. And that choice gave birth to the United Nations, not as a dream for perfection, but as a practical strategy for the survival of humanity.
Where are you watching from?
Many of our founders had seen firsthand the hell of the death camps and the terror of war. They knew that true leadership meant creating a system to prevent the replay of those horrors, a firewall against the flames of conflict and World War III, a forum for sovereign states to pursue dialogue and cooperation, and a concrete affirmation of an essential human truth: we are all in this together. And this General Assembly Hall is the heartbeat of that truth. It is why for decades, world leaders have come to this one-of-a-kind podium. It is why you are here today. Because at its best, the United Nations is more than a meeting place. It's a moral compass, a force for peace and peacekeeping, a guardian of international law, a catalyst for sustainable development, a lifeline for people in crisis, a lighthouse for human rights, and a center that transforms your decisions, the decisions of member states, into action.
Good morning, Rose.
8 years on, we confront again the question our founders faced, only more urgent, more intertwined, more unforgiving. What kind of world do we choose to build together? Excellencies, we have our work cut out for us, as our ability to carry out that work is being cut from us. We have entered in an age of reckless disruption and relentless human suffering. Look around. The principles of the United Nations that you have established are under siege. Listen, the pillars of peace and progress are buckling under the weight of impunity, inequality, and indifference. Sovereign nations invaded, hunger weaponized, truce silence, rising smoke from bombed-out cities, rising anger in fractured societies, rising seas, swallowing
Anybody else buffering,
coastlines.
or are we good?
Each one a warning, each one a question. What kind of world will we choose? A world of raw power or a world of laws? A world that is a scramble for self-interest or a world where nations come
Okay,
together?
cool. Thanks, Jay.
A world where might makes right or a world of rights for all? Excellencies, our world is becoming increasingly multipolar, and this is positive, reflecting a more diverse, dynamic global landscape. But multipolarity without effective multilateral institutions can court chaos, as Europe has learned the hard way, resulting in World War I. It was multipolar, but there was no multilateral institutions. So let's be clear. International cooperation is not naivete. It is hard-headed pragmatism. In a world where there's leap borders, isolation is an illusion. No country can
Thank you,
stop a
Shannon.
pandemic alone. No army can halt rising temperatures. No algorithm can rebuild trust once it is broken. These are global stress tests of our system, our solidarity, and our resolve. I'm convinced we can pass these tests, and we must. Because people everywhere are demanding something better, and we owe them a system worthy of their trust and a future worthy of their dreams. And so we must make the choice, an active choice, to reaffirm the imperative of international law, to reassert the centrality of multilateralism,
Yes.
to reinforce justice and human rights,
Trump's
and
supposed
to
to be
recommit
speaking.
to the principles that gave rise to our organization and to the promise contained in its first words.
He said
We,
he's got an
the
announcement to
peoples.
make. And that's why I'm covering it.
Excellencies, the choices we face are not part of an ideological debate. They are a matter of life and death for millions. As I scan the global landscape, we must make 5 critical choices. First, we must choose peace rooted in international law. Peace is our first obligation. Yet today, wars rage with a barbarity we vowed never to allow. Too often, the Charter is brandished when convenient and trampled when not.
Yep.
But the Charter is not optional. It is our foundation. And when the foundation cracks, everything built upon fractures. Around the world, we see countries acting as if the rules don't apply to them. We see humans treated as less than human,
That'll be dope.
and we must call it out. Impunity is the mother of chaos, and it has spawned some of the most atrocious conflicts of our times. In Sudan, civilians are being slaughtered, starved, and silenced. Women and girls face unspeakable violence. There is no military solution.
It would be dope.
I urge all parties, including those in this hall, end the external support that is fueling this bloodshed. Push to protect civilians, because the Sudanese people deserve and hope. In Ukraine, relentless violence continues to kill civilians, destroy civilian infrastructure, and threaten global peace and security. I commend recent diplomatic efforts by the United States and others. We must work for a full ceasefire and a just, lasting peace in accordance with the Charter, UN resolutions, and international law. In Gaza, the horrors are approaching a third monstrous year. They are the result of decisions that defy basic humanity. The scale of death and destruction are beyond any other conflict in my years as Secretary General. The International Court of Justice has issued legally binding provisional measures in the case named application of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in the Gaza Strip. Since then, a famine has been declared and the killing has intensified. The measures stipulated by the ICJ must be implemented fully and immediately.
I didn't disagree with nothing he just said right now. That's real. Got to put a stop to this stuff.
Nothing can justify the horrific Hamas terror attacks of October 7 and the taking of hostages, both of which I have repeatedly condemned. And nothing can justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people and the systematic destruction of Gaza. We know what is needed. Permanent ceasefire now. All the hostages released now.
Now.
Full humanitarian access now. And we must not relent in the only viable answer to sustainable Middle East peace, a two-state solution as so eloquently reaffirmed yesterday. We must urgently reverse dangerous trends on the ground. Relentless settler expansion and violence and the looming threat of annexation must stop.
I agree with that.
Everywhere, from Haiti to Yemen, to Myanmar and the Sahel and beyond, we must choose peace anchored in international law. The past year has brought glimmers of hope, including the ceasefire between Cambodia and Thailand, and the agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia brokered by the United States. But far too many crises continue unchecked. Impunity prevails, lawlessness is a contagion, it invites mayhem, accelerates terror, and risks a nuclear free-for-all. When accountability shrinks, graveyards grow.
Amen.
When UN staff and facilities are attacked, violating legal obligations, so too is the core of our ability to serve and deliver. The Security Council must live up to its responsibilities. It must be more representative, more transparent, and more effective. Beyond crisis response, we must tackle the injustices that ignite conflict: exclusion, inequality, impunity, and corruption. The surest way to silence the guns is to raise the volume for justice. Real security is born of fairness and opportunity for all. Excellences, cela m'amène au deuxième point.
This leads me to my second point. We must choose human dignity and human rights.
Les droits humains ne sont pas
Human
un ornement
rights
de la
are not
paix.
an ornament
Ils en
of
sont le
peace,
socle.
they're its bedrock.
Les droits humains, sociaux,
Human rights,
économiques,
economic,
politiques,
social,
civiques
cultural,
et
political,
culturels
and civil,
sont
are
universels,
universal,
indivisibles
indivisible,
et
and
interdépendants.
interdependent.
Choisir les droits,
Choosing
c'est
rights
plus que des
means
paroles.
more than
C'est
words.
choisir la justice
It
plutôt que le
means choosing
silence.
justice over
C'est
silence.
préserver la liberté
It means
et l'espace
protecting
civique.
freedom and civic space.
Faire avancer l'égalité pour
Advancing
les femmes et
equality
les
for
filles.
women and girls.
Combattre le
Confronting
racisme et la
racism and
discrimination sous
discrimination
toutes leurs
in all
formes.
its forms.
Protéger les défenseurs des
Protecting
droits
human
humains,
rights
les
defenders,
journalistes
journalists,
et la liberté
and freedom of
d'expression,
speech.
et garantir les droits des
And
réfugiés et
upholding
des
the rights
migrants
of refugees and
afin que la
migrants
mobilité
so
soit
that
sûre
mobility is
et
safe
conforme
and
au
in
droit
accordance with
international.
international law.
Les droits humains sont un
Human
combat
rights
quotidien,
are a daily
en
battle,
ligne comme hors
online
ligne.
and offline.
Ils exigent de la
They
volonté
require
politique,
political will.
mais la dignité ne se
But
résume
dignity
pas à la
is not only
protection des droits.
about the protection of
Elle
rights,
exige
We'll see.
pleinement concrétiser ces droits
about
grâce
rights
à un
fulfilled,
développement
Hopefully we get some
inclusif
change,
et
guys.
and
résilient.
resilient development.
Des droits qui mettent fin à la
Rights that put
pauvreté
an end
et à la
to
faim.
poverty and hunger.
Des droits qui ouvrent
Rights
de la
that
voie de
open
l'éducation,
doors
de la
to
santé
education,
et des
health
opportunités.
and opportunity.
Les objectifs de
The
développement
Sustainable
durable
Development
sont
Goals
notre feuille
are
de
our
route
shared
commune
roadmap
pour
for
concrétiser ces
achieving
droits.
these rights.
Mais pour avancer
That's radical
But in
ces
order
droits,
anything,
to make
sister.
progress
du
down this
carburant.
road, we need fuel.
Carburant, c'est le
And
financement.
that fuel is
Et nous savons ce qu'un
finance.
développement bien mené peut
We've seen
accomplir.
what development done right can
Au
deliver.
cours de la dernière
In the past
décennie,
decade,
des millions de personnes
millions
supplémentaires ont
more have
accédé à
gained access to
l'électricité,
electricity,
à des solutions de cuisson
clean
propre
cooking
et à
solutions,
l'Internet.
and to the
Le
internet.
mariage des enfants
Child marriage
recule,
is in retreat.
la représentation des femmes
Women's
avance,
representation is
mais les
growing,
coupes dans l'aide au
but cuts
développement
to aid
font des
are wreaking
ravages.
havoc.
Pour un grand nombre de personnes,
They are
elles
a death
représentent une
sentence for
condamnation
many.
à mort. Pour tant d'autres,
For so
un
many more,
avenir confisqué.
a stolen future.
C'est
Morning,
là
Rose.
tout le
This
paradoxe
is
de
the
notre
great
époque.
paradox of our time.
Nous avons les solutions,
We have the
mais nous
solutions,
siphonnons le
but we
carburant
are
qui
siphoning
nous
off the
permettrait
fuel
d'avancer.
that would make it possible to make
Choisir la
progress.
dignité, c'est
To
choisir la
choose
justice
dignity, we
financière
must choose
et la
financial
solidarité.
justice and solidarity.
Nous devons réformer
We need
l'architecture
to
financière
reform the international
internationale
financial
afin
architecture
qu'elle soit au
so that it
service du
drives
développement
development
de
for all.
toutes et de
Crypto.
tous. Avant que des banques multilatérales de
With bigger
développement
and
plus grandes et
bolder
plus
multilateral
audacieuses
development
qui
banks
prêtent
lending more
davantage et mobilisent
and
plus de capitaux
mobilizing more
privés pour les
private
pays en
capital
développement,
for developing
avec des
countries,
mécanismes d'allègement de
with
dette plus
faster
rapides et
and
plus
fairer
justes,
debt relief
couvrant tous
mechanisms,
les pays en difficulté,
helping every country in
y compris
crisis,
ceux à revenus
including
intermédiaires.
middle-income countries.
Une protection des ressources nationales
Protecting
en
natural
s'attaquant aux flux
resources
financiers
by
illicites,
tackling illicit
aux
financial
pratiques fiscales
flows and
abusives
abusive tax
qui volent aux
practices that
sociétés
rob
leur
societies
avenir.
of their future.
Et des institutions
And
financières
global
mondiales à
financial
l'image du monde
institutions that
d'aujourd'hui,
represent today's
avec
world,
une
I'm ready for it.
with
participation
far
bien plus
greater
forte
participation
des pays
of
en développement
developing countries
dans sa composition et ses décisions.
in
I'm ready
terms
for
of
it,
their
D.
composition
Alors
and
faisons
their
le choix
decision-making.
d'une
So
économie mondiale
let
au
us
service
choose
de
a
toutes
global
et
economy
tous.
that works for everyone,
Faisons le
men
choix
and women.
des droits
Let
humains
us choose
et de la
human
dignité
rights and
et
dignity,
donnons-nous les moyens d'une
and
transition
let us
juste
equip
pour les
ourselves
peuples
with the
et la
means
planète.
to ensure a transition
Excelencias,
for people and the planet.
Esto nos lleva a la tercera opción.
Excellencies, this brings me to
Debemos
the third
elegir la
choice. We
justicia
must
climática.
choose climate justice.
La
Means
crisis
we're one step
climática
closer
se
to
está
The
crisis.
crisis
acelerando,
is
I'm ready
accelerating,
for
pero
it.
las
Let's do
soluciones
it.
también.
so are the solutions.
El futuro de la energía
The clean
limpia
energy
ya
future
no es una
is no
promesa
longer a
lejana,
distant promise.
ya está aquí.
It's already here.
Ningún gobierno,
No government,
industria o
industry,
interés
or special
especial
interest
puede
can
detenerlo.
stop it.
Pero algunos lo
But
están
some are
intentando,
trying,
prejudicando a las
hurting
economías,
economies,
imponiendo
locking
precios
in
más
higher
altos
prices,
y
and
desperdiciando
squandering
una
a
oportunidad
historic
histórica.
opportunity.
Excellencies, fossil fuels are a losing bet. Last year, almost all new power capacity came from renewables, and the investment is surging. Renewables are the cheapest and fastest source of new power. They create jobs, drive growth, shield economies from volatile oil and gas markets, connect the unconnected, and can free us from the tyranny of fossil fuels. But not at today's pace. Clean energy investment remains uneven. 21st century grids and storage are not rolling out fast enough. And public subsidies, taking from taxpayer money, still
It's gonna
flow to
happen.
fossil fuels over clean energy
Then Christ
by
comes.
a factor of 9 to 1. Meanwhile, emissions, temperatures, and disasters keep rising. And those least responsible suffer the most.
Yep.
Science says limiting global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees by the end of this century is still possible, but the window is closing. The International Court of Justice has affirmed the legal obligation of states. We must step up action and ambition, especially to strengthen national climate plans. Tomorrow, I will welcome leaders to announce new targets. The G20, the biggest emitters, must lead, guided by common but differentiated responsibilities. But all countries must step up and do more as we head to the UN Climate Conference in Brazil. By accelerating action in energy, forests, methane, and industrial decarbonization. By defining a credible roadmap to mobilize $1.3 trillion annually in climate finance by 2035 for developing countries. By supporting just transitions, by doubling finance for adaptation to at least $40 billion this year, and rapidly deploying proven tools to unlock billions more in concessional finance. and by capitalizing the Loss and Damage Fund with significant contributions. All of these requires government, international financial institutions, philanthropies, civil society, and the private sector to work together, to provide fiscal space to developing countries and unlock new innovative sources of finance at scale.
We fight with prayer,
including
brother.
solidarity
Spiritual war.
levies on high-emitting sectors and debt swaps. We have the solutions and tools, but we must choose climate justice and climate action. First, we must choose to put technology at the service of humanity. Artificial intelligence is rewriting human existence in real time, transforming how we learn, work, communicate, and what we can trust. And the question is not how to stop it, but how to steer it for the greater good.
From me, huh?
Technology must be our servant, not our master. It must promote human rights, human dignity, and human agency. Yet today, AI's advancement in outpacing regulation and responsibility and is concentrated in a few hands. And the risks are expanding to new frontiers, from biotech to autonomous weapons. We are witnessing the rise of tools for mass surveillance, mass social control, mass disruption, and even mass destruction. Tools that can drain energy, strain ecosystems, and intensify the race for critical minerals, potentially stoking instability and conflict. Yet, these technologies remain largely ungoverned. We need universal guardrails and common standards across platforms. No company should be above the law. No machines should decide who lives or dies. No system should be deployed without transparency, safety, and accountability. Last month, this Assembly took a historic step, establishing an independent international scientific panel on AI and an annual global dialogue on AI governance. Two new pillars of a shared architecture, connecting science with policy to bring clarity and foresight, enabling innovation to flourish while advancing our values and our rights, and ensuring governments, companies, and civil society can help shape common norms. We must build on these mechanisms and close the capacity gaps. All countries must be able to design and develop AI, not just to consume it. I have proposed voluntary financing options to build AI computing power, data, and skills in developing nations. No country should be locked out of the digital future or locked into systems it cannot shape or trust. And governments must lead with vision, and companies must act with responsibility. And we, the international community, must ensure that technology lifts up humanity. So let us choose cooperation over fragmentation, ethics over expediency, and transparency over opacity. Technology will not wait for us, but we can still choose what it serves. So let us choose wisely.
I'm going to reach out to you, Rose.
Finally, to meet all these goals,
after this live, I'm going to reach out to you.
We must choose to strengthen the United Nations for the 21st century.
Thanks, Heather.
The forces shaking our world are also testing the foundations of the United Nations system. We are being hit by rising geopolitical tensions and divisions, chronic uncertainty, and mounting financial strain. But those who depend on the United Nations must not be made to bear the cost, especially now, when for every dollar invested to support our core work to build peace, the world spends $750 on weapons of war. This is not only unsustainable, it is indefensible. In this moment of crisis, the United Nations has never been more essential. The world needs our unique legitimacy, our convening power, our vision to unite nations, to bridge divides and confront the challenges before us. The Pact for the Future has shown your determination to build a United Nations that is stronger, more inclusive, and more effective. That is the logic and the urgency of our UN80 initiative. We are moving swiftly and decisively. I put forward concrete proposals, a revised budget for 2026 that strengthens accountability, improves delivery, and cuts costs. Practical reforms to implement mandates more effectively and efficiently with greater impact. And ideas to spark a paradigm shift in the structure of the UN and how its parts work together. Most of these decisions rest with you, the Member States, and we will move forward in full respect of the established procedures. Together, let us choose to invest in a United Nations that adapts, innovates, and is empowered to deliver for people everywhere. Excellencies, my overriding message comes down to this. Now is the time to choose. It's not enough to know what the right choices are. I urge you to make them. I grew up in a world where choices were few. I was raised in the darkness of dictatorship, where fear silenced voices and hope was nearly crushed. Yet, even the bleakest hours, especially then, I discovered a truth that has never left me. Power does not reside in the hands of those who dominate or divide. Real power resides from people, from our shared resolve to uphold dignity, to defend equality, to believe fiercely in our common humanity and the potential of every human being. I learned early to persevere, to speak out, to refuse to surrender,
that's a good
no
thing,
matter the challenge, no matter the obstacle, no matter the hour. We must and we will overcome. Because in a world of many choices, there is one choice we must never make, the choice to give up.
Amen.
We must never give up. That is my promise to you, for peace, for dignity, for justice, for humanity, for the world we know is possible when we work as one.
Like that.
I will never, ever give up. Thank you.
Good job. I like that. I like that. And I'm seeing you guys' comments. He does got high hopes for humanity. And that's not a bad thing. We need more leaders to have high hopes for humanity. You know, so let's hope, you know, that some of what he said is good. Like, I don't think the technology should be, you know, the thing over humanity.
I thank the Secretary General. The Assembly will now turn to agenda item 8, entitled General Debate.
You own one today, huh, Jay?
80 years, longer than the average human life. This anniversary of the United Nations should have been a moment of celebration. But this is not an ordinary year. Just look at the state of our world, as the Secretary General described. Thousands of orphans in Gaza are wandering around the rubble, eating sand, drinking contaminated water. 90-year-old women in Ukraine are hiding from drones, trapped in their homes instead of living their final years in peace. Children in Haiti, too afraid to walk to school, afraid they might be gunned down by gangs like their friends. And for every conflict and tragedy that seizes the headlines, there are so many more that are forgotten, lost to the news cycle. Like women in Democratic Republic of the Congo, shielding their daughters from armed groups, fearful they might be raped. and Rohingya children spending their whole childhood in tattered tents, unable to remember what their home looks like. Faced with these realities, now is not the time to celebrate, but to ask ourselves, where is the United Nations? Distinguished heads of state and government, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, people out there in the world watching us. Clearly, we have to do better.
We do.
But what we should not let cynics allow to weaponize these failures, to argue that our institution is a waste of money, outdated, irrelevant. When the principles of the Charter are ignored, is it the UN that has failed? When tanks rolled into Ukraine, was it because Article 2 of the Charter is not clear enough about sovereignty and territorial integrity? When civilians, children, are killed in Gaza, is it humanitarian law at fault for failing to protect them? It's not the Charter which fails. It's not the UN as an institution which fails.
Leaders in the nation.
The Charter, our Charter, is only as strong as member states' willingness to uphold it.
That's right.
And their willingness to hold to account those who violate it. Excellencies, yes, our world is in pain. Yes, we have failures. But imagine how much worse would it be without the United Nations? Would a single person be better off without it? Without UNICEF, 26 million children would not have received an education. Without the World Food Programme, nearly 125 million people would have lacked life-saving food assistance. Without the World Health Organization, over 1 billion vaccines would not have been supplied.
Come on.
Sometimes we could have done more, but we cannot let this dishearten us. If we stop doing the right thing, evil would prevail. This 80th session is not about big celebrations. It's about finding the resolve not to give up, the resolve to be better together, just as our predecessors did 8 decades ago. This institution was born in a world on fire and desperate for reprieve. 750 million, nearly a third of humanity back then, still under colonial rule. 2 world wars in a generation, 70 million dead. The horrors of the Holocaust revealed to our collective shame. This was a generation that knew almost nothing but suffering and despair. The signing of the Charter in 1945 gave hope to millions, gave us a North Star that guided our path from the ashes of war, helped guide nations from colonial rule into independent states, helped end apartheid. Across the decades, the United Nations has been a compass pointing toward peace, humanity, and justice. We have not always succeeded, but the story of this institution is not a story of easy victories. It's a story of falling and rising, of pulling ourselves and each other back up and trying harder. We gather here for the 80th time, not for empty celebration, not out of ritual, not to hear our own voices. We gather to prove that this institution matters, and that through this institution, every nation represented here, no matter how big or small, can summon again the strength and unity first shown in San Francisco 80 years ago. The courage and resolve of world leaders, who even while some called them back then naive, believed they could build a better world from the wreckage of the old. They showed then what true leadership is. It's not about imposing your will or putting others down. True leadership is about lifting others up, not out of altruism, but for a mutual benefit, and even out of our self-interest. Because as our founders and every architect of peace since then has understood, helping others is what makes ultimately our own countries stronger. Could any state have faced the global pandemic alone? The virus did not have any passport. We were only able to solve it at the end with the support of the World Health Organization. The climate crisis does not stop at borders. CO2 emissions anywhere affect people everywhere. Even the wealthiest cities in the world cannot shield themselves from wildfires. And imagine coming here by plane, how safe would you feel to step into the next airplane if there were no International Civil Aviation Organization anymore, which is responsible for setting safety regulations for 5 billion passengers each year? How comfortable would you be with your children using the internet while AI is uncontrolled and unchecked? As the lines between what is real and fake start to blur. In this globalized, digitalized world, we work together or we suffer alone. Excellencies, the theme of this milestone session and the high-level week is therefore better together. 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. Will living up to that be easy? No. But this hall was not built for easy times. It was built to come together to confront the hardest topics.
But I'm ready for it.
This session
comes back after that.
a session where the high-level week is about resolving differences. We showed some of it yesterday already. But even the House of Dialogue and Diplomacy needs a renovation. That is why the UN80 initiative and the wider reform process are not luxuries, but necessities. We are literally now at a crossroads, a make it or break it moment.
Thank you, Tracy.
Politically, financially. Therefore, we have to deliver a United Nations that is agile, cost-effective, and fit for purpose. Member States have to give the Secretary General and this process their full support, because reform cannot stop in New York. It must carry through to every capital. That includes delivering the Pact for the Future and accelerating progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. Again, this is not about charity. It's about addressing the core purposes of this institution, about strengthening our foundations across all 3 pillars: peace and security, human rights, and sustainable development.
That word, peace
They
and
are
security,
inseparable.
in the Bible, be throwing me off whenever they say
Leaving
it.
hundreds of millions trapped in extreme poverty, vulnerable to crisis, and denied their human rights is not only a moral failure, it's a recipe for global unrest, terrorism, and a tragic waste of humanity's greatest resource, its people. Put it simply, without the SDGs, there cannot be lasting peace. Excellencies, our future as an institution will also be shaped by the selection of the next Secretary General. And here we must pause and reflect. In nearly 80 years, this organization has never chosen a woman for that role. One might wonder how out of 4 billion potential candidates, there could not be found a single one. Of course, the choice rests with member states. But those of you having been there yesterday celebrating Beijing, one strong female leader after the other from all our continents. Like 80 years ago, we are standing at a crossroads. And it's up to us, to every single member state, to live up to the same leadership as your predecessors did. To act when action is needed. To uphold the principles of our Charter. To be better together. To show the people around the world that this United Nation is there. Today, tomorrow, and for the next 8 decades. Because, after all, it's the life insurance for every country.
She did good. But I ain't gonna lie, man, that peace and safety talk, peace and security, surely when they say peace and security, utter destruction is around the corner or something like that. And it's...
Before giving the floor to the first speaker for this morning, I would like to remind member states that the list of speakers for the general debate has been established on the agreed basis that statements should be no longer than 15 minutes to enable all the speakers to be heard at a given meeting. Within this time frame, I would like to appeal to speakers to deliver their statements at a reasonable pace so that interpretation into the other official languages may be provided properly. I would also like to draw your attention to the decision taken by the Assembly at previous sessions, namely that the practice of expressing congratulations
early in the morning,
inside the Assembly Hall after speech has been delivered is strongly
expect this one to give you later, but I appreciate all you guys.
After delivering their statements from the rostrum, speakers are invited to exit the hall through room JA200, located behind the podium, before returning to their seats. May I take it that the Assembly agrees to proceed in this manner? It's so decided. Finally, I should like to draw the attention of member states that during the general debate, official photographers are in the room and will take official photographs of all speakers by the Department of Global Communications. Members interested in obtaining these photographs are requested to contact the photo library of the United Nations.
Like this.
By this, the Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil. I request the protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Madam President of the General Assembly, Annalena Baerbock, Mr. Secretary General Antonio Guterres, dear heads of state and government, and representatives of the member states gathered here. This should be a time to celebrate the United Nations. Created at the end of the war, the UN symbolizes the highest expression of the aspiration for peace and prosperity. Today, however, the ideals inspired its founders in San Francisco are under threat as never before in their history. Multilateralism diante
is
de nova
at a new
encruzilhada.
crossroads.
A autoridade desta organização
The organization's
está em
authority
xeque.
is in check.
Assistimos à
We are
consolidação de uma
witnessing the
desordem
consolidation
internacional
of an international order
marcada por seguidas
marked by
concessões
repeated
à política
concessions
do poder.
to power play,
Atentados à
attacks
soberania,
on sovereignty,
sanções arbitrárias
arbitrary sanctions,
e intervenções
and
unilaterais
unilateral
estão se
interventions
tornando
are
regra.
becoming the rule.
Existe evidente
There
paralelo
is a clear
entre a
parallel
crise do
between
multilateralismo e o
multilateralism
enfraquecimento
crisis
da
and the weakening
democracia.
of democracy.
O autoritarismo se fortalece
Authoritarianism is
quando nos
strengthened
omitimos
when we
frente à
fail to
arbitrariedade.
act in the face of
Quando a
arbitrary
sociedade
acts.
internacional
When the international society
vacila na defesa da
falters
paz,
in defending
da
peace,
soberania e do
sovereignty,
direito,
and the rule
as
of law,
consequências são
the
trágicas.
consequences are tragic
Em todo o mundo,
throughout the world.
forças antidemocráticas
Anti-democratic
tentam
forces are
subjugar
trying to
as
subjugate
instituições e
institutions
sufocar
and
as
stifle
liberdades.
freedoms.
Cultua a violência,
They worship
exalta a
violence, praise
ignorância,
ignorance,
atuam como
act
milícias
as physical
físicas e
and
digitais
digital militias,
e cerceiam a
and
imprensa.
restrict the press.
Mesmo sob ataques sem
Even
precedentes,
under an
o Brasil
unprecedented
optou
attack,
por
Brazil
resistir
chose to
e
resist
defender sua
and defend its
democracia
democracy,
reconquistada há 40
regained
anos
40
pelo seu
years
povo
ago by
depois
its
de
people
2 décadas de
after
governo
2 decades
ditatoriais.
of dictatorial government.
Não há justificativa
There
para
is
as
no
medidas
justification for
unilaterais e
unilateral
arbitrárias
and
contra nossas
arbitrary
I feel you.
instituições
It's driving me
nossa
insane
economia.
Our
too.
institutions
I really
and our
won't
A
even want to hear
agressão
President
contra a
Trump.
independência do
but-
poder
The aggression
judiciário
against the
é
independence of the
inaceitável.
judiciary branch of power
Esta
is
ingerência
unacceptable.
em
This
assuntos
interference
internos
in domestic
conta com o
affairs
auxílio de uma
is
extrema-direita
aided by a
subserviente e
subservient
saudosa
far-right
de antigas
who is
hegemonias.
nostalgic of past
Falsos
hegemonies, false
arquiteta
patriots,
e promove
plan and
publicamente
publicly promote
ações contra o
actions
Brasil.
against Brazil.
Não há pacificação com
Cannot
impunidade.
be achieved with
Há poucos
impunity.
dias,
A few days
e
ago,
pela primeira
and for
vez
the
em
first time in
525 anos de nossa
525
história,
years of our
um
history,
ex-chefe de
a
Estado
former
Co-host, 'cause
head
my
of
daughter
state
foi
knows him.
condenado
was
por
Co-host
atentar
with me,
contra
right,
o
baby?
Estado
attacking the
democrático de
democratic
direito.
Welcome
rule
in.
of law.
Foi
He
investigado,
was
Where you
investigated,
from?
indiciado e
indicted,
julgado
trialed,
e
and held
responsabilizado pelos
accountable
seus atos
for his
em
actions
processo
in a
minucioso.
meticulous process.
Teve amplo direito de defesa,
He has the
prerrogativa
right to
que as
defend himself was
ditaduras
secured,
negam
a
às suas
prerogative
vítimas.
that dictatorships deny to
Diante
their
dos
victims
olhos do mundo,
before the eyes of the
O Brasil
world.
deu um recado a
Brazil
todos os
sent a
candidatos
message to all
autocratas
aspiring
e aqueles que os apoiam.
autocrats and those who
Nossa
support them.
democracia
Our
e
democracy,
nossa
our
soberania
sovereignty
são
are
inegociáveis.
non-negotiable.
Seguiremos como
We will
nação
continue
independente
as an
e como
independent
povo
nation
livre
and as
de
a people
qualquer tipo de
free
tutela.
from any type of guardianship.
Democracias sólidas,
Sound
além
democracies
do
go
ritual
beyond
eleitoral.
the electoral ritual.
seu vigor
Its strength
pressupõe a redução das
presupposes the
desigualdades,
reduction of
a garantia
inequalities,
dos
the
direitos mais
guarantee of the
elementares,
most basic
a
rights,
alimentação,
food,
a segurança,
safety,
o trabalho,
work,
a moradia,
housing,
a educação
education,
e a
and
saúde.
health.
A democracia falha
Democracy
Eastern
quando
or
as
fails
mulheres
Standard?
ganham
when
menos que
women
os
earn
homens
JT
less than
Martin.
ou
men
morrem pelas
or
mãos de
die
parceiros
at
e
the hands
familiares.
of partners and family
Ela
members.
perde
It
quando
loses
fecha suas
when it
portas
closes its
e
doors
culpa migrantes
and
pelas
blames
Not yet,
mazelas do
migrants
mundo.
for the world's ills.
A pobreza
Poverty
é tão
is
inimiga
as
da
much
democracia
an enemy of
quanto o
democracy
extremismo.
as extremism.
Por isso,
Therefore,
foi com orgulho
we were proud
que
to
recebemos
receive
da FAO a
confirmation from
confirmação de que o
FAO
Brasil
that
voltou
Brazil
a
has
sair do
once
mapa
again
da
left
fome
the hunger
este
map
ano de
in this
2025.
year 2025.
Mas no mundo,
But in the
ainda há
world,
670
there are
milhões
still
de pessoas famintas
670
e
million hungry
cerca de
people
2
and
bilhões e
about
300 milhões
2.3 billion
enfrentam insegurança
face
alimentar.
food insecurity.
A única guerra
The only
que
war
todos podem
of
sair
which
vencedores.
everyone
é
can
que
emerge
travamos
victorious
contra a
is the
fome
one
e a
we
pobreza.
wage against hunger and
Esse é o
poverty.
objetivo da Aliança
This is the
Global
goal of the
que
global
lançamos no
alliance we
G20
launched
e que já conta
at the
com o apoio de
G20 and which has the
103
support
países.
of 103
A
countries.
comunidade
The
internacional
international community
precisa rever
needs to
suas
revise
prioridades,
its priorities,
reduzir os gastos com
reduce
guerras
arms
e
spending,
aumentar a ajuda
and
ao
increase
desenvolvimento.
development aid.
Aliviar o serviço da
Relieve the
dívida
service
externa
of the
dos
foreign
países mais
debt
pobres,
of the poorest
sobretudo os
countries above
africanos,
all African
e
nations,
definir
and set
padrões mínimos de
minimum
tributação
global
global
tax standards
para que os super
so
ricos
that the super
paguem mais
rich
impostos
pay
que
more
os
taxes
trabalhadores.
than workers.
A democracia também se
Democracy
mede
is
pela
also
capacidade
measured by
de
the
proteger
ability
as
to protect
famílias e a
families
infância.
and the childhood.
As plataformas digitais
Digital platforms
trazem
offer
possibilidade de nos
possibilities for
aproximar
us to come
como
together
jamais
in
havíamos
ways we
imaginado,
never imagined.
mas têm sido usadas
But they
para
have been
semear
used for
intolerância,
sowing
misoginia,
intolerance,
So hopefully
xenofobia
Trump will be up
e
next if he's
xenofobia.
scheduled for
and
9:50
A
Eastern.
internet
The internet
não pode ser
cannot
It's already
terra
about to
a
be
firme.
land
9
of
o'clock
Cabe ao
right now. You
poder
guys are an
público
hour ahead of me.
proteger
It's
os
up
mais
to
vulneráveis.
governments to protect the most
Regular
vulnerable.
não é
Regulating
restringir
does
a
not
liberdade de
mean
expressão,
restraining
é
freedom
garantir
of
que
expression.
o que
It's
já é
about
ilegal
ensuring
no mundo real
that what is
seja
already
tratado assim
illegal in the
também
real
no
world is
ambiente
treated
digital,
the
no
way in
ambiente
the virtual
virtual.
environment.
Ataques à
Attacks
regulação
on regulation
serve para encobrir
serve to
interesses
cover up
escusos
hidden
e dar
interests
guarida a
and
crimes
provide
como fraudes,
shelter for
tráfico de
crimes
pessoas,
such
pedofilia
as fraud,
e
human
investidas
trafficking,
contra a democracia.
pedophilia, and attacks against the
O
democracy.
Parlamento brasileiro,
The Brazilian parliament
corretamente,
was right to
apressou-se em
rush
abordar esse
this to
problema.
address this issue.
Com orgulho,
Last week,
promulguei na
I
última
proudly
semana
enacted
uma das leis mais
one of the
avançadas
world's
do
most
mundo
advanced laws
para
for the
proteger,
protection
para a
of
proteção de
children and
crianças e
adolescents
adolescentes
in
na
the
esfera digital.
digital environment.
Também enviamos ao Congresso
Also, we
Nacional
sent draft bills
projeto de lei
to the National
para
Congress
fomentar a
to foster
concorrência nos
competition
mercados digitais
and digital
e para
markets and to
incentivar
encourage the
a instalação
installation
de data
of
centers
sustainable
sustentáveis.
data centers.
Para mitigar os
To
riscos da
mitigate
inteligência
the risks
artificial,
of artificial intelligence,
apostamos na
we are
construção de uma
committed to
governança
building
multilateral
multilateral
em linha
governance
com o
in
Pacto
line with the
Digital
global
Global
digital
aprovado neste
compact
plenário
that was
no
approved
ano
in this
passado.
plenary last year.
Senhoras e senhores,
Ladies and gentlemen, Your
Na América
Excellencies,
Latina e
in Latin
Caribe,
America and the Caribbean,
vivemos momento
we
de
are
crescente
experiencing a
polarização
time
e
of growing
instabilidade.
polarization and instability.
Manter a região como zona de
Maintaining the
paz
region as a zone of
sempre
peace
foi e é a
is
nossa
and was
prioridade.
our priority.
Somos continente
We
livre
are
de
a
armas de
continent
destruição
free
em massa,
of weapons of mass
sem conflito
destruction,
étnicos ou
without
religioso.
ethnic or religious
preocupante.
conflicts.
A
The
equiparação entre a
comparison between
criminalidade e o
crime
terrorismo.
and terrorism is
A
worrying.
forma mais
The
eficaz
most effective way
de combater o
to
tráfico de
combat
drogas
drug
é a
trafficking
cooperação
is to
para
cooperate
reprimir
to suppress
a lavagem de dinheiro
money
e
laundering
limitar o
and
comércio
limit
de armas.
arms trade.
Usar força
Using
letal
lethal
em
force
situações
in
que não
situations
constituem
that do not
conflitos armados
constitute armed
equivale
conflict is
a executar
tantamount
pessoas
to
sem
executing
julgamento.
people without trial.
Outras partes do
Other parts of the
planeta
planet
já testemunharam intervenções que
witnessed
causaram danos maiores
interventions
do
that
que
cause
se
greater
pretendia
damage
evitar,
than intended,
com graves
with serious
consequências humanitárias.
humanitarian consequences.
A via do diálogo
The path to
não deve estar
dialogue must
fechada.
not
Thank you
be
for the
closed
super chat, Zach. I really
O
do
Haiti
appreciate you
Haiti
supporting the
tem
channel,
direito a
man. So
has
thank
the
you,
right
Zach.
to a
Tem
violence
E é
future.
inadmissível
And it is
que Cuba esteja
unacceptable
listada
that
como
Cuba
país que
be
patrocina o
listed as a
terrorismo.
country that sponsors
No
terrorism.
conflito
And the
na
conflict
Ucrânia,
in Ukraine, in the
todos já
conflict in
sabemos
Ukraine,
que não
we
haverá
all
solução militar.
already know that there will be
O
no
recente encontro no
military
Alasca
solution. The
despertou
recent
a
meeting in
esperança de uma
Alaska
saída
raised
negociada.
hopes for a negotiated
É
way
preciso
out.
pavimentar
It's necessary to
caminhos
pave the way
para uma solução
for a
realista.
realistic
Isso
solution.
implica
This
levar em conta as
implies
legítimas
taking into
preocupações de
account
segurança
the
de todas as
legitimate
partes.
security concerns
A
of all
iniciativa
parties.
africana
The African
e o
Initiative
grupo de amigos da
and
paz,
the Friends
criado
for
por
Peace
China e
group
Brasil,
created by China
pode
and
contribuir
Brazil
para promover o
can
diálogo.
help promote dialogue
Nenhuma situação
and a diplomatic
é
solution.
mais
No
emblemática
situation
do
is
que o
more
uso
emblematic
desproporcional e
of the
ilegal
disproportionate
da
and
força
illegal
do
use
que a
of
da
force
Palestina.
that the one occurring in
Os
Palestine.
atentados terroristas
The terrorist
perpetrados
attacks
pelo Hamas
perpetrated by
são
Hamas are
indefensáveis sob qualquer
indefensible
ângulo.
from any
Mas
angle,
nada,
but nothing,
absolutamente
absolutely
nada,
nothing
justifica o
justifies
genocídio
the
em
ongoing
curso em
genocide
Gaza.
in Gaza.
Ali,
There,
sob toneladas de
under
escombros,
tons of rubble,
estão enterradas
are
dezenas
buried
de milhares de
tens of
mulheres e
thousands of
crianças
innocent
inocentes.
women and children.
Ali também estão sepultados ao direito internacional humanitário e o mito da superioridade
ethical
ética do
exceptionalism of the West are
Esse
also being
massacre
buried there.
não
This
aconteceria
massacre would not have
sem a
happened
cumplicidade
without
dos
the
que poderiam
complicity of
evitar.
those who could have prevented
Em
it. In Gaza,
Fome é usada
hunger
como arma
is
de
used
guerra.
as a weapon of
O
war,
deslocamento
and the
forçado de
forced
populações
displacement of
é
populations
praticado
goes on
impunemente. Quero
unpunished.
expressar
I
minha
express
admiração
my
aos
admiration
judeus
to the Jews
que dentro e
who,
fora de Israel
inside and
se
outside
opõem
Israel,
a esta punição
oppose this
coletiva.
collective punishment.
O povo
The
palestino
Palestinian
corre o
people
risco
are
de
at risk
desaparecer.
of disappearing.
Só sobreviverá
They
como
will
um
only
Estado
survive
independente
with an
integrado à
independent state
comunidade
integrated
internacional.
to the international
Esta
community.
é a
This
solução
is the
defendida por
solution
mais de
defended by more than
150 membros da ONU
150
e afirmada
UN members,
ontem aqui,
reaffirmed
neste mesmo
yesterday
plenário,
here in this very
mas
plenary,
obstruída
but
por
bared
único
by
veto.
a single
É
veto.
lamentável
It is
que o
regrettable
presidente
that
Mahmoud
President
Abbas
Mahmoud
tenha
Abbas
sido
was
impedido
prevented
pelo
by
país
the host
anfitrião de
country
ocupar
of
a
occupying
bancada da
the Palestinian
Palestina
bench
nesse
at this
momento
historical moment.
O alastramento
The
desse
spread
conflito
of this
para o Líbano,
conflict to Lebanon,
para a Síria,
Syria,
o Irã
Iran,
e o Catar
Qatar
fomenta a
is
escalada
fueling
armamentista
an
sem
unprecedented
precedentes.
arms build-up.
Senhoras Presidenta,
Madam President,
bombas e armas nucleares
bombs
não
and
vão
nuclear
nos
weapons
proteger da
will
crise
not
climática.
protect us from the climate
O ano de
crisis. The year
2024
of 24
foi o mais
was the
quente já
warmest
registrado.
already
A
registered.
COP30 em Belém, no
COP30 in
Brasil,
the city of Belém,
será a
Brazil,
COP da
will be
verdade.
the COP of truth.
Será o momento
It
de
will
os
be the
líderes
time
mundiais
for world leaders
provarem
to prove
a
the
seriedade de seu
seriousness of their
compromisso com o
commitment to
planeta.
the planet.
Sem ter o quadro
Without
completo das
a complete
contribuições
picture
nacionalmente determinadas,
of the
a chamada
NDCs,
NDC,
nationally determined
caminharemos de olhos
contributions,
vendados
we
para
were
verdadeiro
walking
abismo.
blindfolded towards
O Brasil
the abyss.
se
Brazil
comprometeu a
is
reduzir
committed
entre
to
59% e
reducing its emissions by
77% suas
59
emissões,
and
abrangendo todos
67%,
os gases de
covering
efeito
all
estufa
greenhouse
em
gases
todos os
and
setores da
all
economia.
sectors of the economy.
Nações em desenvolvimento
Developing nations
enfrentam a mudança do
face
clima
climate
ao
change
mesmo tempo em
while
que lutam
grappling
contra outros
with
desafios.
other challenges.
Enquanto isso,
Meanwhile,
países ricos
rich countries
usufruem
enjoy
de padrão de
a
vida obtido
standard
às
of
custas de
living
200
reached
anos
at
de
the
emissões de
expense of
gás.
200 years of greenhouse
Exigir
gas
maior
emissions.
ambição e
Demanding
maior acesso
greater
a
ambition
recursos
and greater
e
access
tecnologias
to
não é
resources
uma
and
questão de
technology.
caridade,
It's not a matter of
é
charity,
apenas uma
but
questão
of
de justiça.
justice.
A corrida
The
por minérios
race for
críticos
critical
essenciais
minerals,
para a
essential
transição
for
energética
energy
não
transition,
pode
cannot
reproduzir a lógica
reproduce the
predatória
predatory
que
and
marcou
asymmetrical
os últimos
logic
séculos.
that has
Em
characterized
Belém,
recent centuries. In
o
Belém
mundo vai
City,
conhecer
the
a
world
realidade
will
da
learn
Amazônia.
about the
O
reality of the
Brasil já
Amazon.
reduziu pela metade
Brazil has already
o
reduced
desmatamento na região
deforestation by
nos
half
2
in the
últimos anos.
region in the last 2 years.
Erradicá-lo requer
Eradicating
garantia,
it
condições
requires
dignas de vida para
ensuring
seus milhões
decent
de
living
habitantes.
conditions for its millions of
Fomentar o
inhabitants.
desenvolvimento
Promoting
sustentável
sustainable development
é o objetivo
is the
do Fundo
objective of the
Florestas
Tropical
Tropicais
Forest
para
Forever
sempre,
Facility,
que o Brasil
which
pretende
Brazil intends
lançar
to launch
para
to
remunerar os
compensate
países que
countries
mantêm
that
suas
keep their
florestas em
forests
pé.
standing.
É chegado o momento de passar
But the time has
da
come
fase
to
da
prove,
negociação.
to move
para a
from the
etapa da
negotiation phase to the
implementação.
implementation
O mundo
stage.
deve muito
The
ao
world
regime
owes a lot to the
criado pela
regime
Convenção
created
do
by the
Clima.
Climate Convention.
Mas é necessário
Climate change
trazer o combate à
needs
mudança
to
do
be
clima
brought
para
to
o
the
coração
heart
da
of the
ONU
UN
para que ela tenha
so that
a
it
atenção
gets
que
the
merece.
attention it deserves.
Conselho
A
vinculado à
council
Assembleia Geral,
linked to the General
com
Assembly,
força e
with the
legitimidade
power
para
and
monitorar
legitimacy to
compromissos,
monitor
dará
commitments,
coerência
provide
à ação climática.
coherence to climate action.
Trata-se de um passo
This is a
fundamental
fundamental step
na direção de uma
towards
reforma
a
mais
broader
abrangente da
reform of the
organização,
organization,
que contemple também
which would
um
also
Conselho de
include
Segurança
an
ampliado
expanded
nas
Security
duas
Council
categorias
in
de
the
seus
two
membros.
member categories.
Poucas áreas
Few areas
retrocederam
have
tanto
worsened
como o
as much
sistema
as the
multilateral de comércio.
multilateral trading system.
Medidas
Unilateral
unilaterais
measures
transformam em
have
letra
rendered
morta
fundamental principles
princípios basilares
such as
como a
the
cláusula
most
de
favored
nação
nations
mais
clauses
favorecida.
meaningless.
Eles organizam
They,
cadeias de valor
they have
e lançam
disrupted
a economia
value
mundial
chains and through the global economy into a pernicious spiral of high prices and stagnation. It is urgent to refound the WTO based on modern and flexible foundations. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this year, the world lost two exceptional public figures. Former Uruguayan President Pepe Mujica and our dear Pope Francis, both embodied the best humanist values like no other. Their lives were intertwined with the 8 decades of the UN.
Se ainda estivesse entre nós,
if they were still among us, they would use this platform to remember
que o autoritarismo,
authoritarianism,
a degradação
environmental
ambiental e a
degradation,
desigualdade
and inequality
não são
are
inexoráveis.
not relentless.
Que os únicos derrotados
That the only
são os que
ones
cruzam os
defeated are
braços
those who
resignados.
stand idly by,
Que
resigned,
podemos vencer os falsos profetas e
resignate,
oligarcas,
and that we can
exploram
defeat the
o medo
false
e
prophets and
monetizam o
oligarchs
ódio.
who exploit fear and
que o
monetize
amanhã
hate, and that
é feito de
tomorrow
escolhas
is
diárias,
made of daily
e é preciso
choices,
coragem
and it
de
takes
agir
courage
para
to
transformar.
act to transform
No
it.
futuro que o Brasil
In the future
vislumbra,
that Brazil
não há
envisions,
espaço
there
para a
is no
reedição de
room for the
rivalidades
reenactment
ideológicas
of
ou
ideological
esferas.
rivalries or spheres
A
of
confrontação
effort.
é
Confrontation is
inevitável.
not inevitable.
Precisamos de liderança
We need
com
leaders
clareza de
with
visão,
clear
que
visions
entendam que a
who
ordem
understand
internacional
that the
não
international
é
order
jogo
is
de
not a
soma zero.
zero-sum game.
O século
The
XXI
21st
será
century
cada
will
vez
be
mais
increasingly
multipolar. Para se
multipolar.
manter pacífico,
For it
não
to
pode
remain
deixar de ser
peaceful,
multilateral.
it cannot fail,
O Brasil
fall
confere
to multilateral.
crescente importância à
Brazil
União
is
Europeia,
giving
à
increasing
União Africana,
importance to the European
à
Union, the
ASEAN,
African Union,
à CELAC,
ASEAN,
aos
CELAC,
BRICS e aos
BRICS,
G20.
and the G20.
A voz do
The
sul
voice of
global
the global south
deve ser
must
respeitada
be
e ouvida.
heard.
A ONU
The UN
tem hoje
The UN
quase
has
4
today
vezes
almost
mais
4
membros do que os
times more members
51
than
que estiveram
the
na
51
fundação.
who were at its
Nossa
foundation.
missão histórica
Our
é
historic
de torná-la
mission
novamente
is to make it once
portadora de
again a
esperança
barrier of
e
hope
promotora
and
da
a promoter
igualdade, da
of
paz,
equality,
do desenvolvimento
peace,
sustentável
sustainable
e da
development,
diversidade
diversity,
e da
and
tolerância.
tolerance.
Que Deus
May
nos
God
abençoe a
bless
todos
us
e muito
all.
obrigado.
And thank you very much.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Federative Republic of Brazil,
Can y'all bring up Trump? Come on, man. We got stuff to do, right?
Is it done?
Almost.
It is.
Say thank you, everybody.
Take care, bye.
She's my co-host today, guys. She's my sidekick. We got work to do today. She's gonna help her daddy out, right?
Yeah. I think it's done.
Almost. We just gotta wait for President Trump. After we get President Trump, we'll cut the feed and we'll go ahead and do what we gotta do. Okay?
Okay. That's what we're going to verify.
He said he had a very important announcement to make at the UN today, so I want to hear what it is.
Yep.
Look, they said you're such a good girl.
Yeah.
Growing up baseball with Gabriel. Said, hi, honey. That's Michelle. Say hi, Michelle.
Hi, Shell. Yeah.
Say hi,
the Assembly
Rose.
will hear an address by His Excellency Donald Trump,
There we
President
go.
of the United States of America.
Yeah.
I request
yeah.
protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Do it again. Do it again more. Do it again more. Do it again more. Do it again more.
Okay, hold on. The president's coming. That's our president right there. That's the greatest president in modern history.
Yeah, is that the police officer?
No, yeah, that's a armed person that's in the military, but that's President Trump. We're gonna listen, okay?
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter. because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Good job, President Trump.
Hello, Madam First Lady. Thank you very much for being here. And Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, but today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, and there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age of America. We are rapidly reversing the economic calamity that we inherited from the previous administration, including ruinous price increases and record-setting inflation. Inflation we've never had before. Under my leadership, energy costs are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated. The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high. In fact, it hit a record high 48 times in the last short period of time. Growth is surging, manufacturing is booming. The stock market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done. And all of you in this room benefit by that. Almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country on earth to do business. And many of the people in this room are investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment during this 8-month period. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the best economy ever, history of the world. And I'm doing the same thing again, but this time it's actually much bigger and even better. The numbers far surpass my record-setting first term. On our southern border, we have successfully repelled a colossal invasion, and for the last 4 months, and that's 4 months in a row, the number of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been 0. Hard to believe, because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers. All over the world they came. they just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail, or you're going back to where you came from, or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means. I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional job they've done in receiving and jailing so many criminals that entered our country. And it was under the previous administration that the number became record-setting, and they're all being taken out. They have no choice. And other countries have no choice because other countries are in the exact same situation with immigration. It's destroying your country, and you have to do something about it. On the world stage, America is respected again like it has never been respected before. You think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 1 year ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world. At the NATO summit in June, virtually all NATO members formally committed to increase defense spending at my request from 2% to 5% of GDP, making our alliance far stronger and more powerful than it was ever before. In May, I traveled to the Middle East to visit my friends and rebuild our partnerships in the Gulf and those valued relationships with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE and other countries are now, I believe, closer than ever before. My administration has negotiated one historic trade deal after another, including with the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and many, many others. Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars. And in all cases, they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. It included all of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal.
Yo, he just
All I
calling
got from
everybody
the
out.
United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential. but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Now, after ending all of these wars and also earlier negotiating the Abraham Accords, which is a very big thing for which our country received no credit, never receives credit. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with the mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars. What I care about is not winning prizes, it's saving lives. We saved millions and millions of lives with the 7 wars. And we have others that we're working on, and you know that. Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong, and the product that they were proposing to build was so bad and so costly. It was going to cost them a fortune. And I said, and wait till you see the overruns. Well, I turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazzo. Do you notice that? As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. They still haven't finished. That was years ago. The project was so corrupt that Congress actually asked me to testify before them on the tremendous waste of money, because it turned out that they had no idea what it was, but they knew it was anywhere between $2 and $4 billion as opposed to $500 million with a guarantee. But they had no idea, and I said it cost much more than $5 billion. Unfortunately, many things in the United Nations are happening just like that, but on an even much bigger scale, much, much bigger. Very sad to see whether the UN can manage to play a productive role. I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with. A dramatically better future is within our reach. But to get there, we must reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the greatest threats in history. There is no more serious danger to our planet today than the most powerful and destructive weapons ever devised by man, of which the United States, as you know, has many. Just as I did in my first term, I've made containing these threats a top priority, starting with the nation of Iran. My position is very simple. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never be allowed to possess the most dangerous weapon. That's why, shortly after taking office, I sent the so-called Supreme Leader a letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region, and some great countries that are right nearby. Today, many of Iran's former military commanders, in fact, I can say almost all of them, are no longer with us. They're dead. And 3 months ago, in Operation Midnight Hammer, 7 American B-2 bombers dropped the 14 30,000-pound each bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities, totally obliterating everything. No other country on earth could have done what we did. No other country has the equipment to do what we did. We have the greatest weapons on earth. We hate to use them. But we did something that for 22 years people wanted to do. With Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity demolished, I immediately brokered an end to the 12-day war, as it's called, between Israel and Iran, with both sides agreeing to fight no longer. As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, they have taken so much. This could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now. Thank you. Thank you. As we have got to come together, and we will come together, got to get it done. We have to stop the war in Gaza immediately. We have to stop it. We have to get it done. We have to negotiate. Immediately have to negotiate peace. We got to get the hostages back. We want all 20 back. We don't want 2 and 4. As you know, I got, along with Steve Witkoff and others that helped us, Marco Rubio, we got most of them back. We were involved in all of them. But I always said the last 20 are going to be the hardest, and that's exactly what happened. We have to get them back now. We don't want to get back 2, and then another 2, and then 1, and then 3. Have this process. No, we want them all back, and we want the actually 38 dead bodies back too. Those parents came to me, and they want them back, and they want them back very quickly and very badly, as though they were alive. They want them. They want them every bit as much as if their son or daughter were alive. I've also been working relentlessly, stopping the killing in Ukraine. I thought that would be, of the 7 wars that I stopped, I thought that would be the easiest because of my relationship with President Putin, which had always been a good one. I thought that was going to be the easiest one. But, you know, in war, you never know what's going to happen. There are always lots of surprises, both good and bad. Everyone thought Russia would win this war in 3 days, but it didn't work out that way. It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad. No matter what happens from here on out, this was something that should have taken a matter of days, certainly less than a week. And they've been fighting for 3.5 years and killing anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 young soldiers, mostly soldiers, on both sides, every single week, from 5,000 to 7,000 dead young people, and some in cities, much smaller numbers, where rockets are shot, where drones are dropped. This war would never have started if I were president. This was a war that should have never happened. It shows you what leadership is, what bad leadership can do to a country. Look what happened to the United States, and look where we are right now in just a short period of time. The only question now is how many more lives will be needlessly lost on both sides. China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. but inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves. Who the hell ever heard of that one? In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now, would have to join us in adopting the exact same measures. I mean, you're much closer to the city. We have an ocean in between. You're right there. And Europe has to step it up. They can't be doing what they're doing. They're buying oil and gas from Russia while they're fighting Russia. It's embarrassing to them, and it was very embarrassing to them when I found out about it, I can tell you that. They have to immediately cease all energy purchases from Russia. Otherwise, we're all wasting a lot of time. So I'm ready to discuss this. We're going to discuss it today with the European nations, all gathered here. I'm sure they're thrilled to hear me speak about it, but that's the way it is. I like to speak my mind and speak the truth. As we seek to reduce the threat of dangerous weapons today, I'm also calling on every nation to join us in ending the development of biological weapons once and for all. And biological is terrible, and nuclear is even beyond, and we include nuclear in that. We want to have a cessation of the development of nuclear weapons. We know, and I get to view it all the time. Sir, would you like to see? And I look at weapons that are so powerful that we just can't ever use them. If we ever use them, the world literally might come to an end. There would be no United Nations to be talking about. There would be no nothing. Just a few years ago, reckless experiments overseas gave us a devastating global pandemic. Yet despite that worldwide catastrophe, many countries are continuing extremely risky research into bioweapons and man-made pathogens. This is unbelievably dangerous. To prevent potential disasters, I'm announcing today that my administration will lead an international effort to enforce biological weapons convention, which is going to be meeting with the top leaders of the world by pioneering an AI verification system that everyone can trust. Hopefully the UN can play a constructive role, and it will also be one of the early projects under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, but it also can be dangerous, but it can be put to tremendous use and tremendous good, and this would be an example of that. Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border.
Calling everybody
Just
out.
a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I could call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed.
Yo.
Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that.
That's right.
Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything. Where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims, or claimed refugee status for illegitimate reasons, they should, in many cases, be immediately sent home. And while we will always have a big heart for places and people that are struggling and truly compassionate, answers will be given. We have to solve the problem, and we have to solve it in their countries, not create new problems in our countries. And we are very helpful to a lot of countries that are just not able to send their people anymore. They used to send them to us in caravans of 25,000, 30,000 people each. These massive caravans of people pouring into our country, totally unchecked and unvetted. But not anymore. According to the Council of Europe in 2024, almost 50% of inmates in German prisons were foreign nationals or migrants. In Austria, the number was 53% of the people in prisons were from places that weren't from where they are now. In Greece, the number was 54%, and in Switzerland, beautiful Switzerland, 72% of the people in prisons are from outside of Switzerland. When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did, they repaid kindness with crime, it's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. In America, we've taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration. Once we started detaining and deporting everyone who crossed the border and removing illegal aliens from the United States, they simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore. We're getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore. This was a humanitarian act for all involved, because on the trips up, thousands of people a week were dying. Women were being raped. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Raped, horribly beaten, raped. On the trip up, the journey up, it was a long walk. It was a long, arduous journey, indeed. And it was also a historic victory against human trafficking throughout the region. What we did was a victory, and we saved so many lives of people that wouldn't make the journey. That journey was loaded up with death. Loaded up with death. Dead bodies all along the roads of jungles. To get up, they go through jungles, they go through areas so hot you couldn't breathe. They were dying of suffocation. Areas so hot that you couldn't breathe. Dead bodies all over. By them not coming, we're saving tremendous numbers of lives. My people have done a fantastic job in doing what they did, and the American public agrees with it. I mean, I was very proud to see this morning I have the highest poll numbers I've ever had. Part of it is because of what we've done on the border. I guess the other part is what we've done on the economy. Joe Biden's policies empowered murderous gangs, human smugglers, child traffickers, drug cartels, and prisoners from all over the world. The previous administration also lost nearly 300,000 children. Think of that. They lost more than 300,000 children, little children, who were trafficked into the United States on the Biden watch, many of whom have been raped, exploited, and abused, and sold. Sold. Nobody talks about that. The fake news doesn't write about it. With many others, young children who are missing or dead. And we found a lot of these children and we're sending them back, and we've been sending them back to their parents. They said, nobody knows who they are. They said, where do you come from? And they'll give us a country and we'll find out and we'll figure it out and we'll bring them back to their homes. And the mother and father rush to the door, and their tears in their eyes. They can't believe that they're seeing their son or daughter, their little son or daughter again. We've done almost 30,000 of them so far. Any system that results in the mass trafficking of children is inherently evil. Yet that is exactly what the globalist migration agenda has done, and it's what it's all about. In America, those days, as you know, are over. The Trump administration is working, and we are continuing to work to track down the villains that are causing this problem, and also, as I said, to get back the 30,000 we've already returned. Now I think we're going to have another. We're going to find a lot. You're not going to find all of them. 300, more than 300,000. They're lost or they're dead. They're lost or they're dead because of the animals that did this. To protect our citizens, I've also designated multiple savage drug cartels as far as and you see this, and you see it happening right before your eyes. Let's put it this way. People don't like taking big loads of drugs in boats anymore. There aren't too many boats that are traveling on the seas by Venezuela. They tend not to
you lit that one all the way up
very quickly anymore. And we've virtually stopped drugs coming into our country by sea. We call them the water drugs. They kill hundreds of thousands of people. I've also designated multiple savage drug cartels as far as foreign terrorist organizations, along with two bloodthirsty transnational gangs, probably the worst gangs anywhere in the world, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is from Venezuela, by the way. Such organizations torture, maim, mutilate, and murder with impunity. They're the enemies of all humanity. For this reason, we've recently begun using the supreme power of the United States military to destroy Venezuelan terrorists and trafficking networks led by Nicolas Maduro. To every terrorist thug smuggling poisonous drugs into the United States of America, please be warned that we will blow you out of existence. That's what we're doing. We have no choice. Can't let it happen. They're destroying. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year to drugs. 300,000. Fentanyl and other drugs. Each boat that we sink carries drugs that would kill more than 25,000 Americans. We will not let that happen. Energy is another area where the United States is now thriving like never before. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate. And they have to be rebuilt all the time, and they start to rust and rot. Most expensive energy ever conceived, and It's actually energy. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. You lose money, the governments have to subsidize. You can't put them out without massive subsidies. And most of them are built in China, and I give China a lot of credit. They build them, but they very few wind farms. So why is it that they build them and they send them all over the world, but they barely use them? You know what they use? Coal. They use gas. They use almost anything, but they don't like wind. But they sure as hell like selling the windmills. Europe, on the other hand, is a long way to go, with many countries being on the brink of destruction because of the green energy agenda. And I give a lot of credit to Germany. Germany was being led down a very sick path, both on immigration, by the way, and on energy. They were going green, and they were going bankrupt. And the new leadership came in, and they went back to where they were, with fossil fuel and with nuclear, which is good. It's now safe. You can do it properly. But they went back to where they were, and they opened up a lot of different plants, energy producing plants, and they're doing well. I give Germany a lot of credit for that. They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm in New York City. I'm feeling a lot safer. Crime, we're getting crime down. And by the way, speaking of crime, Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. was the crime capital of America. Now it's after 12 days, it's a totally safe city. Everyone's going out to dinner. They're going out to restaurants. Your wife can walk down the middle of the street with or without you. Nothing's going to happen. My people have done a fantastic job. And yes, I called in the National Guard, and the National Guard took care of business, and they weren't politically correct, but they took care of business. We got 1,700 career criminals out, brought them back to where they came from, the countries where they came from, or put them in jails. Washington, D.C. is now a totally safe city again, and I welcome you to come. In fact, we'll have dinner together at a local restaurant, and we'll be able to walk. We don't have to go by an armor-plated vehicle. We'll walk right over there from the White House. They've given up their powerful edge, a lot of the countries that we're talking about, in oil and gas, such as essentially closing the great North Sea oil. Oh, the North Sea, I know it so well. Aberdeen was the oil capital of Europe, and there's tremendous oil that hasn't been found in the North Sea, tremendous oil. And I was with the Prime Minister I respect and like a lot, and I said, you're sitting with the greatest asset. They essentially closed it by making it so highly taxed that no developer, no oil company can go there. They have tremendous oil left, and more importantly, they have tremendous oil that hasn't even been found yet. And what a tremendous asset for the United Kingdom. And I hope the Prime Minister is listening, because I told it to him 3 days in a row. That's all he heard. North Sea oil, North Sea, because I want to see them do well. I want to stop seeing them ruining that beautiful Scottish and English countryside with windmills and massive solar panels that go 7 miles by 7 miles, taking away farmland.
I'll talk about that after we're done, D.
But we're not letting this happen in America. In 1982, the executive director of the United Nations Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a global catastrophe. He said that it will be irreversible, as any nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations. What happened? Here we are. Another UN official stated in 1989 that within a decade, entire nations could be wiped off the map by global warming. Not happening. You know, it used to be global cooling. If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said, global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world, but then it started getting cooler, so now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change, because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion.
He ain't lying.
Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. And if you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. I'm the president of the United States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice. You want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage. They must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. You know, the carbon footprint was a big, big thing a few years ago. I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then President Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747, and not a new one, an old one with old engines that spew everything into the atmosphere. He'd talk about the carbon footprint, we must do so. Then he'd get in and he'd fly from Washington to Hawaii to play a round of golf. And then he'd get back onto that big, beautiful plane and he'd fly back and he'd talk about, again, global warming and the carbon footprint.
Facts.
It's a con job. At extreme cost and expense, Europe reduced its own carbon footprint by 37%. Think of that. Congratulations, Europe. Great job. You cost yourself a lot of jobs, a lot of factories closed, but you reduced the carbon footprint by 37%. However, for all of that sacrifice and much more, it's been totally wiped out and then some by a global increase of 54%.
Wow.
Much of it coming from China and other countries that are thriving around China, which now produces more CO2 than all the other developed nations in the world. Mm-hmm. So all of these countries are working so hard on the carbon footprint, which is nonsense, by the way. It's nonsense. You know, it's interesting. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists, and they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. They want to do things that are just unbelievable, and you have it too. But you know, we have a border, strong, and we have a shape, and that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. And if we had the most clean air, and I think we do, we have very clean air. We have the cleanest air we've had in many, many years. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. And the environmentalists refuse to acknowledge that. Same thing with garbage. In Asia, they dump much of their garbage right into the ocean. And over about a 1 week and 2 week journey, it flows right past Los Angeles. You've seen it. Massive amounts of garbage, almost too much to do anything about, flowing past Los Angeles, past San Francisco, and then somebody will get in trouble because he dropped a cigarette on the beach.
Facts.
The whole thing is crazy. The primary effect of these brutal green energy policies has not been to help the environment, but to redistribute manufacturing and industrial activity from developed countries that follow the insane rules that are put down to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune. They're making a fortune. European electricity bills are now 4 to 5 times more expensive than those in China, and 2 to 3 times higher than the United States. And our bills are coming way down. You probably see that our gasoline prices are way down. You know, we have an expression, drill, baby,
Nós
drill.
reduzimos
And
os
that's what we're
custos
doing.
de energia porque nós faremos como vamos fazer tudo isso reduzir os custos de energia e os custos diminuíram nos Estados Unidos. Por exemplo, se você olhar nos países faturas de energia não mas nós nos Estados Unidos conseguimos usar eles e evitar aumento da temperatura, porque é muito caro também usar
The entire globalist concept asking successful industrialized nations to inflict pain on themselves and radically disrupt their entire societies must be rejected completely and totally, and it must be immediate.
Aumento da temperatura, porque é muito caro também.
They're doing it on purpose because remember they said they only wanted people to take 15 minutes.
Paying so much more than every country. Others weren't paying. China didn't have to pay until 2030. Russia was given an old standard that was easy to meet, the 1990 standard. But for the United States, we're supposed to pay like $1 trillion. And I said, this is another scam. The fact is, the United States has been taken advantage of by the world for many, many years, but not any longer, as you probably noticed. I unleashed massive energy production and signed historic executive orders to hunt for oil, but we don't have to do much hunting because we have the most oil of any nation anywhere, oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, we have the most of any nation in the world. Clean, I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can do things today with coal that you couldn't have done beautiful. 10 years ago, 15 years. So I have a little standing order in the White House. Never use the word coal, only use the words clean, beautiful coal. Sounds much better, doesn't it? But we stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, when most of you do. We're proudly exporting energy all over the world. We're now the largest exporter. In the United States, we want trade and robust commerce with all nations, everybody. We want to help nations. We're going to help nations. But it must also be fair and reciprocal. The challenge with trade is much the same with climate. The countries that followed the rules, all their factories have been plundered. It's really sad to watch. They've been broken. They've been broken by countries that broke the rules. That's why the United States is now applying tariffs to other countries, and much as these tariffs were for many years applied to us, uncontrollably applied to us. We've used tariffs as a defense mechanism under the Trump administration, including my first term, where hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs were taken in. And by the way, we had the lowest inflation, and now we have very low inflation. The only thing different is that we have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into our country. But this is how we will ensure that the system works for everyone and is sustainable into the future. We're also using tariffs to defend our sovereignty and security throughout the world, including against nations that have taken advantage of former U.S. administrations for decades, including the most corrupt, incompetent administration in history, the sleepy Joe Biden administration. Brazil now faces major tariffs in response to its unprecedented efforts to interfere in the rights and freedoms of our American citizens and others, with censorship, repression, weaponization, judicial corruption, and targeting of political critics in the United States. I have a little problem saying this because I must tell you, I was walking in and the leader of Brazil was walking out. We saw him and I saw him, he saw me, and we embraced. And then I'm saying, can you believe I'm going to be saying this in just 2 minutes?
Look at them.
But we actually agreed that we would meet next week. We didn't have much time to talk, like about 20 seconds. They were in retrospect, I'm glad I waited because this thing didn't work out too well. But we did talk, we had a good talk, and we agreed to meet next week, if that's of interest. But he seemed like a very nice man, actually. He liked me, I liked him. But if you, and I only do business with people I like.
He's just rambling now.
When I don't like them, I don't like them. But we had, at least for about 39 seconds, we had excellent chemistry. It's a good sign. But also in the past, Brazil, can you believe this, unfairly tariffed our nation, but now because of our tariffs, we are hitting them back, and we're hitting them back very hard. As president, I will always defend our national sovereignty and the rights of American citizens. So I'm very sorry to say this, that Brazil is doing poorly and will continue to do poorly. They can only do well when they're working with us. Without us, they will fail, just as others have failed. It's true. Next year, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our glorious independence, a testament to enduring power and American freedom and spirit. We will also be proudly hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and shortly thereafter, the 2028 Olympics, which is going to be very exciting. I hope you all come.
What are you doing?
I hope that countless people from all over the globe will take part of these will be great celebrations of liberty and human achievement, and that together we all can rejoice in the miracles of history that began in July 4th, 1776, when we founded the light to all nations. And it's something really that an amazing thing came out of that date. It's called the United States of America. In honor of this momentous anniversary, I hope that all countries who find inspiration in our example will join us in renewing our commitment, values, and those values
right now, y'all.
that we hold so dear. Together, let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity. And let us safeguard our sovereignty and cherish qualities that have made each of our nations so special, incredible, and extraordinary. In closing, I just want to repeat that immigration and the high cost of so-called green renewable energy is destroying a large part of the free world and a large part of our planet. Countries that cherish freedom are fading fast because of their policies on these two subjects. You need strong borders and traditional energy sources if you are going to be great again. Whether you have come from north or south, east or west, near or far, every leader in this beautiful hall today represents a rich culture, a noble history, and a proud heritage that makes each nation majestic and unique, unlike anything else in human history or any other place on the face of the earth. From London to Lima, from Rome to Athens, from Paris to Seoul, from Cairo to Tokyo and Amsterdam to right here in New York City, we stand on the shoulders of the leaders and legends, generals and giants, heroes and titans who won and built our beloved nations, all of our nations, with their own courage, strength, spirit, and skill. Our ancestors climbed to mountains, conquered oceans, crossed deserts, and trekked over wide open plains. They charged into thunderous battles, plunged into grave dangers, and they were soldiers and farmers and workers and warriors and explorers and patriots. They built towns into cities, tribes into kingdoms, ideas into industries, and small islands into mighty empires. You're a part of all of that. They were champions for their people who never gave up and who never, ever gave in. Their values defined our national identities. Their visions forged our magnificent destiny. Everybody in this room is a part of it in your own way. Each of us inherits the deeds and the myths the triumphs, the legacies of our own heroes and founders who so bravely showed us the way. Our ancestors gave everything for homelands that they defended with pride, with sweat, with blood, with life, and with death. Now the righteous task of protecting the nations that they built belongs to each and every one of us. So together let us uphold our sacred duty to our people and to our citizens. Let us protect their borders, ensure their safety, preserve their cultures, treasure, and traditions, and fight, fight, fight for their precious dreams and their cherished freedoms. And in friendship and really a beautiful vision, let us all work together to build a bright, beautiful planet, a planet that we all share, a planet of peace and a world that is richer, better, and more beautiful than ever before. That can happen. It will happen. It will happen, and I hope it can happen and start right now, right at this moment. We'll turn it around. We're going to make our countries better, safer, more beautiful. We're going to take care of our people. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yo.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the United States.
Yo, they just dipped. America just got up. Look, that's America walking out. They out of there. So we done. We said our piece. Look. Look at that. Why she look so salty right now? Maybe it's because Trump just monologued. They said 15 minutes. He said, I'm going to give you a good hour. I'm going to give you a good hour of talking. Yo, that's crazy. Look at this. They're panicking, like, how are we going to reset this? We need to get everybody. Everybody needs a chance to talk. Look at everybody. Yo. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's funny. Oh my God. What is going on? Is everybody leaving? They're all like, look, I'm out of here, bro. I had to pee like 45 minutes ago. Oh my goodness. Why they ringing the bell? They like, order in the United Nations. He just dissed everybody, y'all. Did y'all catch that? He went up there in front of the leaders of other countries and called them out, said the United Nations is a joke, basically. Said y'all are failing miserably, while I'm being successful for my country. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. Last administration, yeah, they gone. Because now I'm here. And this is what I've accomplished. And look at what you guys are allowing to happen. You're letting your countries be ruined by immigration. You're about to lose your nations. You guys want us to be a part of this green new scam. And all the while, you got China over here putting out more pollution than everybody. India putting out more pollution than everybody. But you want us to be a part of it. He said, oh, they reduced their carbon footprint by 36%. Meanwhile, it's up 57%. Yo, this man, he just did that. Look at, everybody is just up. They like, man, look at this. Order in the United Nations. Everybody sit down. They're like, what we need to talk about? Trump just came up and said it all. We're a joke, okay? We're a joke. Look it. They like, sit down. Look it. Sit down. Sit down. Oh my God. They done lost. Trump just came in and disrupted. Look at where America was sitting. They gone. Yeah, they said we're out of here. What is going on? This is crazy. Yo. This is freaking crazy. He just basically went in there and checked everybody. Put them on notice list.
I want you all to know you're all failing miserably. The United Nations is a joke. China sells you windmills. They don't use windmills. They know it sucks. They don't use them, but they lead in selling them.
Yo.
You're all suckers. That's what's happening. Meanwhile, America's the greatest place in the world. And you all are suckers. All of you are suckers. You're getting suckered by these other nations.
Oh my God. Look, she don't know what to do. She looks like she is livid right now.
Please be seated.
Look at this. I don't think I've ever seen this before in my life in the United Nations. Ever.
Please be seated.
Oh my God. His announcement was, you all suck and you're failing. This is crazy. This is freaking crazy. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I want to hear this thing. I want to hear how they get this thing back on track. Everybody's leaving. Everybody's going back to their countries. They're leaving New York. Said, oh man, I ain't never coming to another United Nations meeting if Trump's gonna be there. That man just monologued for an hour, and I promise y'all, is all he did was check them, talk them down, and then rambled a little bit about how great we are. How crazy is this? How great of a leader he's been compared to the crap leaders around the world. And then my man came up, the dude who I don't know who he was, what nation he was from. That man came up there, tried to talk about Israel and what's going on with Gaza. My man Trump said, no, no, what happened on October 7th was horrible. And we're gonna shut it down. We're gonna shut it down. Yo, that is crazy. That is he just went up there and ripped everybody. This is happening in real time right now, you guys. This is literally happening right now. How crazy is this? Look at she's scratching her head. I don't know what to do. Look at my man. Look mad. Look at the old dude that's kicked it off.
Excellencies, could you please take your seats in due respect to the next speakers?
Trump just pissed off the entire world, babe.
The second row, could you please take your seat right now?
Yeah, come here. Look at this. They're banging. Here, put the headphones on. Sorry. That's me. Got everything everywhere. Put these on. Trump just pissed off the whole freaking world. They're trying to get order. They said they wanted to give everybody 15 minutes to come and speak, okay? Trump just spoke for an hour, said screw them. They messed up his teleprompter, number one, and he went off the script and told everybody basically,
You all suck. You're doing a horrible job with your nations. Meanwhile, America, we're being more prosperous than we've ever been. Everything's down. Food prices are down. Gas prices are down. Everything's down. The last administration allowed immigration to go crazy. Not me. I said no. And you're allowing your countries to be invaded.
And I'm just like, yo, look it. They trying to get order. They've been ringing this bell for like 10 minutes now.
That's so Trump.
Everybody got up. Literally all the leaders of the world got up after Trump was done. And
please take a seat now.
They can't get him to sit down.
With due respect to the next speakers, I would kindly ask to gentlemen in the left row, please take your seats.
Nobody moved when Trump was talking.
Well, why is he doing that?
Because he told the truth.
We will continue.
He told the truth. He said, look, you guys, what are you doing here? What's the job that you guys have to do because you're not doing it? I'm doing my job. My country's doing great. You guys look like fools. And
Excellencies, as we are receiving queries, I would like to assure you that don't worry, the UN teleprompters are working perfectly. And by this technical note, I would like to call on the next speaker. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Prabowo Subianto, President of the Republic of Indonesia. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
No, we're good. We don't want to hear that. You guys, this was just absolutely amazing. That was dope. Now, I thought, because Trump, it was all over that Trump's got when I woke up, I seen Trump's got a big announcement that he wants to make at the United Nations. So he goes up there. And I'm waiting. to hear him. And I noticed, okay, he's not really saying much, right? When he goes up there, he's just dissing them about the teleprompter right off the bat. And he said he doesn't care. Well, I don't care. They don't got the teleprompter. Okay, I'm just gonna read off, right off of this, and he went off the top of the brain. And in doing that, he called out dang near everybody in the United Nations. Called them all out. Like, you guys suck. You suck. We're awesome. You're doing a horrible job. I'm looking out for my people. It was just amazing to watch.
Well, he's just being real.
Yo, he just did that.
Who else is going to call him out?
Bro, I can't believe he just did that right now. I mean, I can, but at the same time, I can't. Like, that is, he just blew my mind.
I can, but
yeah, it was
crazy.
Good. It was good. They're saying good morning to you, babe.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah. So, okay, guys, I'm really glad that I decided to cover this because I got a lot to do. But something told me, you needed to go ahead and do this one, Cash. Get up here and just share it with everybody. Yo, that was freaking insane. And I was tired up until literally like 20 minutes ago. I was literally
Trump is gonna get you hyped every time.
No, I was for real getting sleepy in here. I ain't sleep a lot last night. But this just like sparked me all the way back up. Look at Cash nerding out in front of his wife. She knows I nerd out all the time, don't I, babe?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but okay, so before I do get off here though, I want to tell you guys something.
I'm gonna go though.
Okay, I love you. First off, yeah, I am very tired. Last night my daughter kept me up. She woke up like super early in the morning, and I tried to grab her and come downstairs so Champagne could sleep a little bit. And I stayed up packing all this stuff that I gotta go and mail out right now. But you guys, when you're talking about the energy bills, right? The energy bills, that's your governor. Okay, well, at least in my state, because the energy went down, right? And then I guess they signed some new deal over here in Indiana about 2 months ago. And it shot everybody's NIPSCO bill. That's what we have is NIPSCO. They shot our NIPSCO bill up through the roof, man. Through the roof. So that's not Trump. Trump made it to where energy should have gone down. Like, you shouldn't be paying a whole bunch of money like how you were. But these governors are like, oh, well, we got to make some money somehow. And we got a Republican governor, and he did a crap deal with NIPSCO. And I am disappointed. I got a nuclear plant right here in my city. And there's no way that I should be paying as much as I do for energy. It's crazy, but neither here nor there. Also, I got an announcement that I want to make to you guys. I'm waiting for it to get here, but I have a partnership, and I'm an affiliate, right, with a Christian clothing line, and it's dope. I haven't seen the clothes in person yet. I'm waiting on my order to get here. They sent me out 2 outfits they want me to wear and do a video. So I'm going to do that. But I would really love for you guys to support when it does get here. It's not this. This is cool though, right? With God, all things are possible. Guess how much and look at matching socks. It's got the matching socks, right? Guess how much I paid for this? You're not going to believe me when I tell you. $10. The shirt that I wore yesterday, the gold shirt, $5. Caught it on a steal, right? If you would like to get stuff like that, right? Because who doesn't like free stuff? I'm over there on this new app called Whatnot, okay? And literally you just go into people's lives. Like, say you go into my live. I do giveaways. Literally give stuff away if you win. It's like a raffle, right? And it is amazing. I love this app, and that's what I've been doing. So let me show you before I go. I am going to the post office. All of this, look at, it's a bunch of different packages that I packaged myself. All these are packages that I packaged myself. Got a couple boxes in there. I got to go drop that off at the post office. You guys, I'm not kidding when I tell you. Oh, wrong ones. I'm not kidding when I tell you. I made profit, okay? They take out the costs and everything of shipping and all of that stuff, right? You just got to pay for your own envelopes and, your thermo printer to print your labels out. You guys, I made, and I'm not saying this to brag. I just want you to know, like, if you're looking for, like, to make some side money while also looking out for people because they give deals over there. I made $371 profit for being online for 2 hours doing what I do, just talking and showing. And all I did was show stuff off and say, do you want it? They say, yeah. You hit the auction and they freaking auction it off. $371 profit, you guys, while also giving people deals. So you're not scamming nobody. You're not ripping anybody off. It's literally an app where people, and it's like this. It's like, it's a mixture. It's not like an auction site. It's more like, it's weird. It's like social media doing what I'm doing right now, but showing off items and saying, do you want it? And I hit the button, they auction. It's freaking amazing. Okay. It's whatnot. So look, I'm going to share the link, okay, in the comment section, wherever you're watching this from. If you would like to go, use my link, sign up for whatnot, and just check it out. Come to one of my shows. All right. And I guarantee you will find a bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of other creators over there that do what I'm doing. And you will find stuff that is crazy. Like this dude got a free computer yesterday, a free freaking computer. Who don't like free stuff? Just for entering a giveaway. And that's all you do is just hit button saying, yeah, I want to enter. Randomly picks a person and you get free stuff. You can sell stuff. You can also buy stuff. You can participate in the auction. It's freaking amazing. All right. So here, let me go ahead and put my link. Let me put my link in the description or in the comment section just so you guys can see. It's freaking amazing. All right. So give me a sec. I'll put it up there right now for you. Yeah. I would love to see you guys over there though, because it's fun. I have fun. And what I do is I sing. You guys know I like to sing anyway. So I go over there and I sing and just talk to people and auction stuff off and do giveaways. And it's pretty freaking dope. So refer, where's it at? Where's my little link at? Cash. Right there. Okay. Refer friends. Copy. All right. It's going right here. Paste. Do you guys see that link? Let me know if you see the link in the comment section. It should have popped up. It didn't pop up on Facebook. Why? I'm going to put it in there. Hold on. Facebook. Okay. Cash Kelly. 1 second, everybody. I'm almost there. All right, here, Facebook. Here you go. Paste. Boom. There it is. So all you got to do is click that link. All right. And then sign up. Create your account. Use my thing, though, because I get $15. Okay. If you sign up, I get $15. So go ahead and do that. It's pretty awesome. It's a real cool app. You could download it on your phone, PC, Mac, whatever, but do it. I guarantee you're going to find a whole bunch of different people over there of stuff that you like, and you're going to get it for a steal. A dude got a computer, a freaking computer for like $35. It's insane. Another guy literally won a computer without spending anything just from entering the giveaway. All right. X, I didn't put it over there yet. Let me put it on X too. That way you guys can jump in there if you want to. Yeah, highly recommend it though. So right now, when I get off of here, what I'm going to do is drop these off, and I'm about to get another show going over there. So yeah, if you want to join, you're more than welcome. I would love to have you. All right. That's all I got. Trump, you are the freaking man, bro. That was amazing. God bless you, Donald Trump. God bless America. God bless the world, really. And I hope them world leaders really took to heart what he said, because he wasn't lying. They are failing. There's a lot of these leaders that are failing their countries, man. They're failing their people, and it's not good. So God bless them, and God bless you all. I appreciate you taking the time and spending with me this morning. So the journey through John, we're going to be reading the Bible starting next Monday, okay? Monday coming up, I'm going to start doing this, 11:30. Might go a little earlier, actually. Might go a little bit earlier for everybody. I know a lot of you guys said that you don't read the Bible and you want to, but it's hard for you to read, so I'm going to read it. And I'm thinking maybe we do 2 to 3 chapters. 2 to 3 chapters every day. That's what I want to do. And we journey through John. And it's not going to be like a breakdown or anything. We're just going to read it. We're going to read it. We're going to pray before we do it and ask God to give us whatever it is that he wants it to speak to our hearts. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I want to do. I really love you guys, man. I really appreciate you for all the support. You guys have been making my social medias go crazy. Facebook has seen an uptick in viewership. My audience has grown vastly. I think I got like 130 new followers on here yesterday for nothing. I didn't even really put anything out. So it's just older videos. And my numbers have gone through the roof, man. I had a couple videos do like 500,000. I had one the other day do like, what, I don't know, 85,000 views. So that's going good. YouTube has been picking back up. So I just really want to say thank you guys for sharing it, for commenting, for liking the videos as they're, doing the lives. Thank you if you hit that like button. If you can hit the like button right now, I'd appreciate it. X, I love the people that I have on X, but I can't stand X as an account because it's only politics. Like you put anything family oriented, which is what I mostly like to do, it doesn't really get no traction, and they be some dope videos. You guys see them because they go crazy everywhere else except for on X. X is really political and racist. I'm just kidding. Not everybody over on X is racist, but there's a lot of them. It's like a safe place for racism. But for real though, I love you guys. I appreciate you. God bless you. Let me get up to this post office. I'll be back later. All right. Peace. Oh no, unite. Don't fight. Be a street light, because only you can be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, you got to remember to pray, America, because without God, everything falls apart. That's a fact. All right. I love y'all. I'm gone. Peace.